Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. I hope you're having a great week so far. I'm so excited. I have a special guest with me today. And before I introduce Christine, I will remind you of who I am if we haven't met yet. And if we have, hello. Great to see you today. Great to have you here, whether you are live on the Yoga at My Desk business page or you're inside the energized and empowered entrepreneur community. I am so grateful that you are here and that you are part of this incredible global community of people on a mission. And so my name is Megan Nolan. Hello. And I help people go from being physically drained and in pain to being fully energized, healthy, and happy now and for years to come. And while I can help you with that to get out of the dreaded ouchy slouchy keyboard hunchback that we all spend way too much time in, let's be honest, by sharing the tools of yoga and exercise, I know that there's so many other facets to you as a being, and certainly to you as a business owner, which is why I'm so honored to bring in special guests like the amazing guests that I have with me today. So let me pull up Christine's bio here. So Christine McIver is a strategy and systems business leader. She's an inspirational speaker, author, TV, radio, and podcast personality. Look at her go. And the founder and owner of the Inspired Choices Network. Christine is highly successful at inspiring individuals and businesses to make choices that will bring them increased success, greater joy, self-confidence, and remarkable inspiring change, all of which increases abundance in their lives and businesses. So how does that sound to everybody? Incredible, right? So welcome, Christine. Great to have you here.
Megan. Oh, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm so glad we connected and you said, yes, let's do this.
Me too. Yay. Awesome. So what I'm going to do right now is give you the virtual mic and have you do a little bit more of a personal introduction. Maybe you can let us know, what it is you really help people with and what got you into this. And I'm just going to make sure that all of the magic behind the scenes is happening. So take it away.
Awesome. Well, hello, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. And if you have any questions, just ask away. But what brought me here? Oh my gosh, that's my brain wants to take us down a long road. But I'm going to start with, there was a time when someone told me to stop talking. The actual words were, do you ever stop talking? And like many of you, I just completely withdrew. I shut down. I really shut down. And I walked around in my life scared that I was going to say the wrong thing. It was so bad. I can't even tell you how bad it was. I was petrified of continuously, thinking that I was going to say the wrong thing and worrying about saying the wrong thing. And then it was kind of like a pressure cooker. And I would hold it in for so long. And then when I would say something, I would be like, blah, and and it would come out all over the place. It would just like hit everything. And then I would go into the self-judgment and that cycle would begin again and again and again. And years later, as I started to come out of that massive, heavy judgment, I started to acknowledge that I had something to share and I needed to speak up and talk. And many things happened in between these two big points in my life. But as I did, and as I started to really focus on what it is that lit me up, I started to move in the direction of supporting other people. And of course, we teach what we need to learn ourselves. And of course, that's where I was. And that's where I've been growing and going for a number of years. And it was really interesting because as much as I wanted to speak, I was still kind of afraid to speak, if that makes sense, because that, those voices don't go away easily. And one day I was contacted and somebody said, hey, have you ever thought about having your own radio show? And I'm not exaggerating. Every cell in my body vibrated. If you've ever had a physical confirmation, it was like, and I was like, I'm looking at my body going, what is going on? I had never had that. It was very cool. And, my mouth said, yes.
Good.
And I said, yes. And I kept saying yes. And I didn't know what I was doing. And this is kind of funny, but my very first show, I had practiced and they taught me what to do and all the rest of it. My very first show, for the first 15 minutes, I was crying.
Mm.
And there was so much emotion, there was gratitude, there was fear, there was worry, there was all of these things. And at the end of it, I was over the moon thrilled that I had actually taken that step. Now I felt like I was, kind of flying in the wind. And that began my journey of figuring out, okay, what do I do next? What do I do next? And so I've spent the last 10 years, 11 years really learning about bringing my voice to the world and learning how to do it with ease and how to get my message out to the world, just like we are right now, Megan. And in doing that, I've started to create a support system. And my brain likes systems. My brain likes organization. It likes to only do something once and then put it into a system so I don't have to figure it out again and again. And that's what I've been doing. And I do that with entrepreneurs with their businesses. I even do that with individual one-on-one coaching, like personal coaching. I show them what they can do to support where they want to go. And through the Inspired Choices Network, I support hosts. I've supported hundreds of hosts that have wanted to bring their voice to the world and get their message out there. And definitely doing that online is the way we are today, right?
Absolutely. Oh, I love all of that. And thank you so much for your vulnerability, because I know a lot of times what we see on social media, we perceive to be, the full gamut of everything. And that's simply not the case. And I love that you're so open and sharing that, that your first show didn't go as planned, but it was a very powerful experience for you. And we all have those negative voices, is which I like to call the shitty committee in our head. And I
like
love
that.
that you didn't let them stop you, because that's what happens for so many of us, and entrepreneurs in particular, is that, we're really driven, we're excited, we have these ideas, and then we're like, no. And then we let those voices of the committee hold us in place, or even hold us back, or stop us.
Right.
And so I love that you were willing to take that action, and you clearly got so much clarity from it, and it allowed you to really hone your skills and hone your craft. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it's funny because I went to college in Canada. I'm in Canada, if anybody's wondering, and we go to either college, university. I went to college and I became a human resources professional. That's where I focused, and I focused in supporting other people. And there came a time when it was taking more than it was actually contributing to me. And
Mm.
so I really looked at, well, where do I want to go next? And that's how I eventually came to doing a radio show, and then eventually becoming the founder of Inspired Choices Network. And so what was very cool to me was looking at what it is that lit me up, and then how can I support other people with what lights me up. And I think, too many of us are trying to see how we can make money to give people what they want, and we're missing out on this person here. And
Mhm.
what lights you up, if there's something that lights you up, and there's something that you can contribute to other people through that, what lights you up, there's going to be people wanting to hear about it.
I love that. I love that, because I think what we're talking about there is when we're tapping into our true purpose, and really connecting to your gifts, recognizing them, and seeing what you love and what you love to share, and then doing that from a place of intentional service, right? And
Yes.
so when we create that ripple effect, then that's the magic sauce. So I love that. I love that. And I think that's really kind of takes me to our first question about, why is it important for us to find our voice? Like, why is that something that we want to hone and we want to cultivate? Because I know that when we're showing up from that place of authenticity, we have a message to share. So why do you think that that's really important for people?
Well, there's so many aspects of that question. One of the biggest pieces, and again, I'm always having people come back to you, because it really is all about you. And I do say that from a space of making sure you're taking care of you, because you can't show up, and you know this, Megan, for what you do, you cannot show up whole if you're not putting you first. And
Mm.
so when you have something inside of you that you desire to share with the world, as you hone your voice and you hone your capacity and your comfort with doing that and your confidence, you're showing up with the world with more of your purpose, and with the experience of joy and pleasure, because you've already captured it within yourself.
Mm.
And you're so much sexier, you're so much more attractive, you're so much more of an invitation. People want to lean in when you're
Mhm.
happy with who you are. And when you're holding that back, when you're holding that message back within you, you're not seen. And then you're sad. And what does that do?
Mhm.
That impacts your health, your physical health, your mental health. That
Mhm.
then reaches out to your family. It hits your bank account. It does everything. So I know from personal experience that if you hold your voice inside, you're going to miss out on some of the greatest opportunities in your life. And you're also going to impact every part of your life and your body.
Mm.
And no matter what the message is, I don't have a point of view, but if you have
Mhm.
something inside of you that's trying to come out, for goodness sakes, allow yourself the opportunity to bring it forward.
Mm. I love that. And that really is so aligned with what I share because, in yoga and in movement, we have an energy within us. Each of us has a life
Mhm.
force energy, a vitality, or in yoga, we call it prana. But if there is that restriction, we have that stagnation that can lead to block and disease and then potentially all sorts of other issues. So I like that you're speaking to that point of view of your message. And so is there something, I know, I'm sure you probably have a million and one things that you can offer for this point, but if somebody feels like there's something kind of like bubbling up in them, do you have maybe a suggestion for them to kind of start to kind of pull away the layers for them to get clarity on that?
You know, I'm going to tell you what I did, and
Yes.
one of the things that I think is important.
Perfect.
Sit somewhere that away from the computer. Don't sit at the computer, especially if you're doing this from a business perspective. Don't sit at the computer. Go find that space where you have space,
Mhm.
mentally and physical space, and take a book, a brand new clean book, and write down, what is it that lights me up?
Mm.
What is it that turns me on? If I could say one thing to someone that I love deeply, what is it that I would want to say? If there was one thing that I could share with and I know we've heard this a million times, but if there's one thing that I could share with my younger self, what
Mm.
would I share? And you will start to unfold the corners of the map of your life from some of
Mhm.
those questions. And this is not a one and done.
No.
This is something that I think each of us, as we look at this, maybe monthly, maybe yearly, whatever the case may be, we start to learn more and more about ourselves. And
Mm.
I don't believe that you're ever complete in finding out what it is that really does turn you on and light you up, because, the desire, the life force, is constantly within us. So we're always going to have more desires and more desires. They're going to continue to rise. But if, it's like jump in there, jump in and start. And in doing that, you will begin to discover and allow that beautiful voice to come forward.
Mm. I love that. Yeah, because that is, I agree. I think that that's always such a powerful exercise of what would you say to your younger self? And I know that's one that we can so quickly pass over. Like, yeah, I've done that. I've done that. And so to your point, I think that it is a really interesting thing for us to do periodically. And doesn't have to be, you can decide your um, intervals that you're going to do that at, but it is a progression, and we are a
Mhm.
progression. You're not the same person you were yesterday, let alone like 3 weeks ago, let alone like at the start of the year, and so I think that that's a really beautiful
Mhm.
exercise. And I like the what you said there about peeling back the corners of the map, because when we have that information, it is directive, right? It is that like,
Yes.
okay, this is the little path that I'm going to start to head on, and really giving ourselves that permission to play with it and not have it be a rigid thing or something that you should have figured out by now or what have you. I love
I'm still waiting for what I'm going to be when I grow up. And I'm not kidding.
that.
I feel like I'm always in that discovery of like, what's next? What's next? And that to me makes it interesting and exciting. Oh, there she goes. She's black.
I could feel it coming. I was like, mute, mute.
Body's clearing. Body's clearing.
It might be another one. So in case I cut out, it's not an audio issue. It's a sneezing issue. I love that. And yeah, and that's another thing that we tell ourselves, at least I have told myself, and I love that you share this, is that, we look at what we see on social media and we think like, oh, they must have it all figured out. And what's the matter with me? And it's
Oh my gosh.
and it's really just that recognition of like, psst, nobody really knows. And everybody's figuring
Stay
it
tuned.
out. Stay tuned, everyone.
This will continue. This show will continue. Yeah, when I think about when I first started in my business, I was petrified that I was going to make the wrong choice. And so you can see behind me, inspired choices. When I was thinking about my business, Megan, I was like, okay, what do I really, what's important to me? And what space do I want to come from? And I remember myself saying this all the time, like, I wish somebody else would just make a choice for me. I wish somebody would just make a choice. Why doesn't somebody just tell me what to do? Somebody else just make the choice. And so I was afraid of making choices, that I would make the wrong choice. But I was doing that because I was looking at what everybody else was doing. And I thought I had to fit the mold in order to be successful. And it's so critical that we stop and we look at, okay, what would be fun? What would be fun? And just know, like, this is something that I say at the very end of every one of my shows, when I do my radio and TV shows and my podcast. Just remember, you can always make another choice. There's no wrong choice. There's just not. But if you don't make a choice, if you don't take that step, you're not going to see the next step that's on the path.
Right.
And you might fall down and bump your nose. You cannot, if you want to have a podcast, you cannot mess up as badly as I did. And I've been doing it now for 11 years.
There you go. Yeah, I like that. It made me think of something I've read somewhere, or maybe I'm making it up. I don't know. But to get going, you have to get started, and it's like, it's really one of those things of like, we just have to take a step, and not making a choice, going bing bong, back and forth. That's still a choice, because you're choosing not to decide. Right. And
exactly.
So I think it's really important for us to remember. And so let's talk about how using our voice, what can that help us to create in our life and in our business? What can that like really lend to?
Well, as you begin to use your voice, and this is something that I love to do, like even doing this with you right now, being present with you right now, and being connected with you, but also being connected with myself, I'm receiving more information. I'm receiving more information from my higher self, from the consciousness of the world. I'm receiving more information. So as you begin to be very present and you begin to bring your voice to the world, you start to expand your capacities. And as you start to expand your capacities, new opportunities begin to show up, right? Because as you are expanding your capacities, you change your perspective. And when you change your perspective, you start to see things in a new way. So if we are in the space of worry or fear or lack, if we're in that space, and who hasn't been there, but if you're in that space, you're really shut down. The walls are very close. But when you make the demand of yourself to show up and to start to communicate, whether it's one-on-one or you're doing your own show, podcast, TV show, whatever, doing a Facebook Live, whatever it is, as you begin to show up, you start to learn more about yourself.
Oh, for sure.
And you open up the opportunities. And then your business gets to start to be seen. And your business will actually begin to communicate with you as well when you're being very present, speaking about your business.
I love that. Yes, that totally makes sense. I love that, because it's like we can so get caught up in the action and the doing, and then we're not listening to that intuitive guidance. But if we are truly present with the moment at hand, the person in front of us, then it really allows us to stay in that place of curiosity.
Yeah,
And yeah, that's huge. That's huge. I love the idea of our business communicating with us through us. That's very cool.
it is very cool. It's so much fun. I talk to my business all the time. I teach my clients and my hosts to talk through their business and to listen to their
Mm,
businesses. And it's an entity, like everything has an energy, and it can communicate if you're willing to listen. Just like our bodies communicate with us, right?
mhm,
Our businesses can communicate through our bodies to us. And
mm,
it's a capacity that's available to everyone.
mm. I like that. I don't know if I've ever actually had a conversation with my business. I think I'm going to try
Maybe I should teach
that.
a course on having a
Pardon?
conversation with you. Maybe I should teach a course on having a conversation with your business.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great idea. I think.
Maybe I put that on the list,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
the long list, which is so much fun.
Mhm,
And that's something that I found at the beginning when I wanted to figure out what to create. I was lost. I was
mm.
lost. And then when you begin to open up and you start to speak to people and you allow yourself to receive, the creations just, there is a long list of creations.
Mhm. Yeah, I find that that's one of the areas I am working on recognizing and witnessing, because I mean, I like to create new things and bring new things to life. And so I am really been working on being intentional with streamlining and staying focused because I'm like, oh, let's do this now. Oh, let's do that now. And of course, to me,
Shiny
it all
ball.
makes sense, and it all falls under the umbrella of vitality and life force energy and all of that good stuff. But I know that can be a little bit confusing in sending messages and all of that. So
It's true. There is definitely a dance.
yeah, there's a dance for sure. I love that. Okay, so let's talk about when we are allowing our business to speak to us, through us, and what that's allowing us to birth into the world. And maybe let's talk about, because I know this is a thing for many people in this community and for myself included, we all, I shouldn't say that. Many of us are really interested in having an impact and having this opportunity to share our gifts and change and impact others, elevate the consciousness of the planet,
Mhm.
whatever it is for you, boiling it down to creating a legacy for ourselves. And so maybe we could talk a little bit about, what our voice and our business and all of that has to do with creating a legacy and leaving our mark on the world.
Right. Well, it's that dance of showing up and
Mm,
beginning and speaking. Many of us don't know what a legacy is.
okay.
And you're not going to know what your desire is for a legacy until you begin. And it's kind of frustrating and confusing all at the same time. But every single one of us are evolving and growing, and we're learning about ourselves. As we are in the doing and the creating, we're learning about ourselves. I often ask somebody, so what was your experience of you like? What was your experience of you like? Not what was your creation like? What was that like that you did this or you did that? But what was your experience of you? Because you, the human, are here, but you're a much bigger, your spirit, your soul is much bigger than you, the human. So what did you experience about you? And as you begin to look at that, and as you begin to allow those experiences to speak to you, you begin to see what's important to you, what your values are, where you really want to have something stay present in the world. And it doesn't happen overnight. You can't sit down and write out those desires. You just can't. You've got to get in there. You got to get your feet wet. You got to get your hands messy in the dirt. You got to get in there. You got to play the game with yourself to discover, what is it that lights me up? What is it that turns me on? What is it that I want to bring to the world? And here's something that I always love to share with people. If there is something that you want to talk about, but you've seen Megan talking about it, you've seen Betty talking about it, you've seen Sam talking about it, please know that Megan's going to deliver it with her energy. Sam's going to deliver it with his energy. If we had a script, Megan, you and I had the exact same script, and we both did that talk exactly following it word for word, there would be people that would never hear me, that would only hear you. And there will be people that will hear you, that will never hear me. And it's based on our energies. It's completely based on that. So I say to people, look, if you have a message, if there's a message on your heart, please know someone is waiting and looking to hear you. They're looking for you. They may not know they're looking for you, but we're all seeking, right? And so when you get in there and you begin to do that, you're going to discover your values. You're going to discover what the things are that at the bottom, at the end of the day, what are so, so important to you. And that's where you begin to learn to really build your legacy and to create with the end in mind. But you got to get in there first. And when you have a target, like your legacy, just like you were talking about getting very purposeful about your actions, that's when that really helps. Getting that legacy out there has you drive in the direction of that.
Right. And that makes sense, especially, you know, we all have the shiny squirrel somewhere in there where we're like, oh, what's that? Oh, should I go try that? Oh, you know, and it's really important to have that North Star that is what is reining us back in and also exciting you and motivating you and calling you forward, because it can be challenging. It is challenging. Like, let's just be honest. It's challenging to stay in a place of feeling excited, feeling inspired, being creative, all of it. There's a lot that goes into business that, you know, some of us know very well, others of us are just learning, but there's so many details to it. And so I think that I love that idea of really coming back to who you are is really what I'm hearing you say, and really learning to witness ourselves, be present, and recognize how you have a uniqueness. And that's another thing that we can forget sometimes, is that, you know, there's a reason that you have something in your heart.
Yes.
The reason that you're excited about it. And like, the more we prolong it and put it off, and like, you know, and that's been part of my deal is, oh, well, I'll just go do this now. And the real thing is sitting back here like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just wait again. I'll just try to whisper it in her ear a little bit louder, you know? And so I was like, okay.
Yeah, eventually you're gonna get probably knocked over the head with it. If you're not listening, right? You're going to get knocked over the head. But it is that it's really following those nudges, those nudges. And you got to get in there. You got to get in there. And you know, when I started in my business, I was looking for, okay, what should I be doing? And what should I be, you know, targeting? And where should I be talking about? What should I be focused? What area? You know, we talk about getting a niche. And I hear people say this all the time, get a niche, get a niche. You're not going to hear that from me. I'm going to tell you, go play in all the little fields and follow all those shiny balls and see which ones really keep repeating and repeating and repeating. And what you're going to do is you're slowly going to start to fine tune your focus, but you can't fine tune it until you start to play in all those areas, because you're going to be distracted if you don't. So, you know, I'm sure you've heard this before. Contrast is the key, right? If you go over with that shiny ball and you do whatever you do for a while and you go, you know, yeah, this is not really doing it for me. Awesome. Now you can go, okay, that's cool. That's not for me. And now you start to really, you know, if you have 100 things in front of you and you're tasting all those things on that menu, that's how you find out what is going to light you up and where your real gifts are. And that's how you get to this space of your targets and your legacy and so on.
I love that. I love that. So I know that you probably have amazing tools to help people to really get that dialed in and get more clear on that. And I know you have something that you have so graciously offered to share with everybody. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and I'll grab the link and put it in the chat.
So I've kind of taken everything that I know along with a lot of my pet peeves, and I've created a course. I know this is very funny, right? I've created a course called Do This, Don't Do That. And this course, it's a self-paced course, and it assists you and supports you in learning about how to create great audio and video content. And from the perspective of like setting up a studio and the lighting and what's right and wrong and the mics and the cameras and creating a strategy and interviewing and what if I have a co-host and all, there's so many aspects to this that I've put together in this course, and I'm offering it to people, and I literally do this, don't do that. Because there's things like, I don't know about you, Megan, but it drives me crazy when I watch people like come on video and they're I call it looking up a pipe or looking down a hole, like their camera's so far down and you're looking right up their nose. And I'm like, oh my God, do you not see yourself?
Right.
That, right?
Okay. I was like,
So,
good.
so I take all of that and I show you the differences and I show you the benefits and what to shoot for, to set things up so that you don't have to focus on all of those things, that you can focus on your message and know that when you're creating it, it's going to be a strong visual, it's going to be a strong audio, and it's going to be an invitation.
I love that. Yeah, I think it's important to have those, contrast creates clarity, as you said, but having them side by side, especially for people when we're just getting started with Facebook Lives or podcasting or whatever it is. There's a lot. There's a lot going on behind the scenes people don't know about, and half the time it takes you a lot of mistakes. I'll just put my hand up and say that happened to me before you learn how to figure it out and how to go live from the inside of your purse. Not a good idea.
That's hilarious.
It happens.
Yeah, and how you can incorporate this into your business and how you can leverage your podcast and how you can actually monetize it and leverage it to be an assistant to support your business. So there's a lot of pieces that I've put into this to really support people taking their voice and their beautiful faces to the world.
Love it. Oh, thank you. So I dropped that in the comments below. And then after we get off, I will make sure that it's in the description. So for wherever you're watching this, you can definitely grab that because it sounds like an amazing resource. And I'm definitely going to take a peek at it myself because that's part of this journey, right? And as we've been speaking to, is an evolution and a curiosity because, we get so far and then what got us here won't get us over there. So it's important for us to continually evolve, be willing to be curious, let go of, the struggle stories and be stepping into the value of who you are and your message and what you're really here to do. So I love that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. And so as we wrap up, is there any last little nugget that you would like to share or anything that you would like us to cover that we didn't feel like we got to?
Well, the last thing that kind of drops into my mind just right before you said it was something that came to me while I was being interviewed in a car. Now that was quite an experience being interviewed in a car.
Okay.
But the thing that dropped into me that has been very close to my heart is until your voice is added to the conversation does not truly begin. You have something to bring to the world that's different than any other person that's ever been here. You came here for a reason. You came here for a purpose. The world needs to hear what you know. And that is something that is so on my heart and motivates me in what I do, because I know that you know something I don't know, Megan, and I want to know it. And the world needs to hear it. And as we keep sharing our voices and our points of view, we shape the world that we want to leave behind.
I love that. That's so beautiful. Thank you. And I hope you all receive that. And I certainly receive that. So thank you. I really appreciate that. And that's a beautiful way to end off. And so thank you so much, Christine. This has been super fun. And for those of you here live and replay later on, let us know if you have any takeaways or any questions for Christine about anything she shared. And I know you can grab the free do this, don't do that session. And that's going to give you lots of good tips. And then that way you'll be able to touch base with her directly. But if you have any questions, please feel free to comment them below and I will make sure to pass them along.
Awesome.
And thank you again for your time, for
You're
being
welcome.
here.
Thank you for
Super fun.
bringing me on. Thank you, everybody.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you everybody who's watching this. And it's so incredible to be on this journey together, right? Be on this journey. And I think that's such a beautiful reminder that you are such a beautiful part of the amazingness that is this life we all get to experience. And so continuing to cultivate your voice and really being brave enough to get started or keep going, depending on where you're at in your journey, right? Keep going.
Yes.
So thank you everybody and have a wonderful rest of your day and take good care. Bye-bye. Thank you. Oh, hang on. Sorry. There we go.